Hello. In this video lesson, then I will discuss the prospects of a trade war, and particularly between the USA and China. So remember from the previous video lesson that already during the first term of Donald Trump as the US president, the US government blocked the appointment of judges to the appellate body, therefore bringing this WTO's dispute settlement process to a halt. So this, of course, then opens the possibility for the Trump's government to not follow the WTO agreements on tariffs, for example, and indeed already for his second term as the U.S. president, which starts in January 20th, 2025. The president-elect Donald Trump announced massive hikes in tariffs on goods coming from Mexico, Canada, and China. So, according to the CNN news, the Trump has promised to sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25 tariff on all products, which seems a very, very large hike. And in addition, China would face a higher tariff on its good by 10% above any existing tariffs. And this is, of course, then would be potentially a major shock to the global trade, and of course, China is not very happy about it. So, according to this news by Reuters, then China's state media warns Trump against mutually destructive tariff war. And this chart taken from this Reuters news is quite interesting. So it indicates China's top exports to USA in 2023, and similarly the US top exports to China in 2023. So first of all, this diagram illustrates very clear way how this kind of trade imbalance between China and USA. So China is exporting much more to the USA than USA is exporting to China. So this has been a long-standing imbalance in the trade between China and the USA. And if you also look at the composition of trade, so of course it doesn't matter not only the volume, but it also matters what is being exported. So if you look at China's top exports, there are high-tech goods like smartphones and tablet computers and lithium-ion batteries. So the Chinese exports are fairly high-tech, whereas the US export, perhaps somewhat counterintuitively, are more like raw materials such as soybeans and crude oil and propane gas. So that obviously then the Trump tariffs might influence this balance. So, for example, if Chinese exports of smartphones or tablet computers bear a very high tariff, then it might make sense for the technology companies, or it might become profitable for the technology companies to manufacture those smartphones and tablet computers in the USA for the US market rather than export them from China. So there is, of course, in that sense, a lot at stake, and especially for China, because then currently, of course, even if China retaliates and imposes tariffs on the US exports, then USA is currently mainly exporting relatively low value raw materials. And of course, China is dependent on very much on raw materials, but it probably can buy its soybeans and crude oil from other countries than the USA as well. So, but in terms of the world economy, then there's of course also Also, a lot of discussion how potential trade war between the USA and China would affect Europe and the EU. So I took this news from a Danish analysis that suggests that full-blown trade wars could weaken the European Union GDP by 2.5%. So that's not enormously, but still a negative effect on the EU. And according to that analysis, those countries in the EU that are most exposed to China would also hit hardest. More optimistic views would be that of course also that there could be also potentially opportunities for the EU countries to benefit if there is if the EU manages to keep trade relations with both China and the USA. So it also very much depends on how the EU will react to these kind of potential tariffs. Would EU also impose its own tariffs, or would it try to maintain good trade relations? And it also depends that if the EU needs to somehow take a side in this trade war, that whether EU can keep trading in both with China and the USA. So this is only time will tell, and I'm afraid that this topic of this video lesson might become outdated very quickly. So we are now just 1 week before the Donald Trump's stepping to the Oval Office. So in the next video lesson, I will then go to a little bit more heated trade wars and discuss more so-called economic sanctions. See you then. Bye-bye.